Most of you must have seen that Haris Rauf video where he had an altercation with a fan. While most of the players, his own teammates, and former cricketers as well voiced support for Haris Rauf, there was one particular reaction which caused furor in India, and that was from Mohammad Rizwan. I just want to bring it to your notice because Love and I are here to talk about it. Rizwan, in his tweet said, it is irrelevant whether the person who disrespected Haris Rauf was from Pakistan or India. What truly matters is that individual lack values and manners. And even though he says much more about this, a lot of people, especially Indian fans, did not like the fact that he brought India into the picture again. Despite the fan mentioning in the video when Haris Rauf confronted him and said that Indian hai tu ya Indian ho, and then the fan replied with Pakistani hu main. So if
You
he's
know,
Pakistani, why did Mohammad Rizwan has to say this thing?
the thing is, it was Haris Rauf in the beginning who actually brought this up. Had he just been irritated by the fan, he could have just had an altercation with him, but he was the one who started saying, Ye India se hoga. From where did India come into the picture, firstly? Secondly, when the fan said that, no, I'm from Pakistan, Haris Rauf kept on fighting, and then what
Yeah.
followed were reactions where people were actually contemplating that the fan was actually from India, but he was pretending to be from Pakistan because they said that that's what you do always. I mean,
Who does that?
who does that? Where does India and Pakistan come into the equation? That's beyond my head.
And why would an Indian fan go to a Pakistani player and say those things?
I
Like,
mean, yes, I
do
think
we
that's
care? Do we care enough about Pakistani players not performing well that we will say anything about their parents? Like, if they abused, we exactly could not hear what the guy said.
right.
The fan said, but
Yeah,
at the
that
end of
was
the day,
Haris Rauf who said that he abused him.
but I'm saying, why would an Indian fan just randomly you're walking on the street and come and abuse you?
Right, and even if it did, and had he been from India as well, that would have been investigated, right? How could Haris Rauf say that he is an Indian?
Yeah, he asked that question. Then he got the answer. Indian नहीं हूँ, Pakistani हूँ मैं. That just changed the entire perspective, right? Then Harris Rauf could not add more to it. And then why Rizwan? And by the way, this information was available there and then when that video went viral. You could hear the guy talking about that he says Pakistani hu main, but yet Mohammad Rizwan, for all that he says and all that he talks about on social media, why would you say it is irrelevant whether the person who disrespected Haris Rauf was from Pakistan or India? Why would you again bring India
Right.
into the conversation? It was not needed at all.
I think it's just the
completely
frustration.
unnecessary.
It's just the frustration that is coming out of these Pakistani players after their poor World Cup campaign, and obviously they are irritated by Indians as well because they still feel that they had that match in hand. India snatched it from them, and they were actually ready to party, right? And they are so frustrated because of the outcome that these are the things which are happening, which are so wrong, and just sets a very bad example.
Very bad example. Forget that. I'm saying why you want to rile other fans up for no reason at all. And you see the comments on that tweet, especially, you will realize that a lot of people have called him out for it. They are saying it is completely unnecessary for you to bring India into this, dragging India into this conversation in the first place because that guy says that he's a Pakistani. भाई क्यों आपको करना क्यों है? And a lot of people, by the way, also questioned whether it was a tweet drafted by Chat GPT using Chat GPT.
Yeah, because most of the tweets were similar,
Similar.
very similar. I also felt that, and this is not the first time such incident has happened. I think Siddhant, we have a common friend Rohit Juglan.
Yeah.
I think a similar thing happened to him in the UAE when he tried to interview Ramiz Raja, and there were other journalists as well. And Pakistan had won that game against India, and he asked one question to him. I don't remember the question, but then Ramiz Raja said, "Ye India se hoga." The hate goes back so back that
Maybe
they
hate is a
actually-
strong word, but the dislike for some reason. See,
I don't know what it is, but then why do you bring that up again and again? And Ramiz Raja also snatched his phone
imagine that.
from which he was recording. He snatched it.
That's wrong.
Why would you say that ye India se hoga, ye Pakistan se hoga? Why to bring that divide? When a journalist is asking you a question, he's a journalist, he's not an Indian or a Pakistani. if a fan is actually abusing you, he's a fan. I know he shouldn't have done that. If he did that, if he abused it, no cricketer deserves that. No cricketer deserves being abused or something being said to their families.
We want to say it and clarify this again. Whatever the fan said was wrong.
If he said that, he was wrong.
It was absolutely wrong, and he has no right to, sort of the play. You don't like that the way he has performed. That's okay, but you have no right to say whatever you said in terms of talking about his parents, abusing him. Those are all wrong things.
It is,
and we are saying that, but dragging India into the conversation is not right. This is not the first time his tweet has created a controversy. During the ODI World Cup also, Mohammad Rizwan had tweeted out in support of Hamas. And that again became a huge thing. A lot of people asked the ICC that how can he, have political affiliations in place while a tournament is going on and put it out in the open. Yet the ICC clarified that he did it on his personal page and they have no jurisdiction there. But that is besides the point. Here, that point, it's still pinching me. Why bring India into the equation here? Like, does not make sense at all for you to even talk about India, because that guy is saying out in the open that he's a Pakistani. But you have to bring India into the equation because you want to deflect attention away from your poor performance.
Exactly my point.
Because you have not performed well. You performed under par. You were under par all through the tournament. Against Ireland also, how you got over the line. You realize that Pakistan, maybe like the Pakistani players, especially Mohammad Rizwan, is trying to deflect the attention away from their poor display, the shambolic display from their team in USA. I think that this is it. I think this is why. Because suddenly
coming out.
Suddenly a lot of not just that, the Pakistani fans will then go and question, see, Indian fan ne kiya hoga. Indian fan ne kiya hoga tabhi. Why would an Indian fan randomly walking on the road go and abuse a Pakistani player, boss?
And there were other people.
We are not that emotional about Pakistani players. We might say something to Indian players. Has happened in the past. You remember that confrontation Rohit had with a fan in Australia, where he was batting in the nets, and both of them, had a verbal exchange with some terms that we can't even say out in the public. but again, anti-India sentiment लाने की कोशिश करोगे आप just to get away from your poor performance. That's not done. That's absolutely not done, Mohammad Rizwan.
Yeah, we condemn that.
We don't like that, and I think you should look at how Shaheen said it. Shaheen Afridi also posted that he's with Haris Rauf and he condemned the actions of that fan, but nowhere he mentioned India. I think that's.
But Rizwan does that.
Yeah, Rizwan, I don't know
the
why.
History of that.
Maybe, I don't know whether it's his PR agency who's doing that or I don't know.
Whatever, but I think in the face of it, it's Rizwan. Right?
But what is wrong, and please let us know in the comments, do you think it was right of him to drag India into the conversation again? Be it a Pakistani fan, if you're watching us, tell us whether that conversation actually deemed needed that conversation, that part where he brings in India into the equation. Because boss, पाकिस्तानी फैन से बात हो रही है, पाकिस्तानी फैन की बात हो रही है, पाकिस्तानी प्लेयर की बात हो रही है, इंडिया कहां से आ गया?
And there were also other people in that video who were actually wearing Pakistan's jersey.
They were.
And it seemed that they were all together. I'm not sure about that.
We are not sure about those details. But who was with who? But clearly, it was not an Indian fan. No matter what a lot of these Pakistani players.
My point is, Siddhant, even if it was an Indian fan, but Haris Rauf didn't know that, right?
But why bring it up?
Why bring it
up? Indian hoga tu.
That was something to be investigated later. But why would you, being a cricketer, bring up such a point that ye India se hoga? What do you mean by that? Ye India se hoga? That because if someone is actually blasting you, he has to be from India. Is that the image you're carrying? So that is something which actually pinches us.
Yeah, I think that was also like it started from there, and then Rizwan saying ki does not matter whether it is in an Indian or Pakistan. Arey bhai, it was not an Indian, it was a Pakistani fan. So stop saying that. Anyway, on that note, please let us know in the comments what you think of those remarks by Rizwan and even Haris Rauf for that matter, and whether you agree with us or not agree with us. Please let us know, and thank you for watching.